it's not that we may be in a crisis. We are in a significant crisis in education in this country today. If you look at any of the statistics, I mean, we are spending more than twice as much money on education today than we were 40 years ago, and the results have declined. The children who are in our schools today will be the first generation of children who are less educated than their parents. So if you look at sort of where we were several decades ago versus where we are now in the globe, we are now 21st, 23rd, and 26th out of 30 developed nations in science, reading, and math. So there is no doubt that we are in the midst of a crisis. As in my mind, for far too long, we have been willing to turn a blind eye to the injustices that are happening to kids in classrooms every day in the name of harmony amongst adults.
I've gone through bouts of depression just because you feel so swamped.
I almost had an emotional breakdown.
There have been 6 suicides in our school district.
They're not necessarily pressured to learn deeply and conceptually.
So what is that going to mean when we have a whole population of dentists and doctors who've been trained from a script?
We don't pay teachers according to how effective they are in the classroom. We pay them by how much experience they have, maybe how much education they have, and these factors are not, surprisingly, by all the studies we have, very systematically related to student outcomes.
Can you really say that teachers' unions aren't slowing the pace of reform?
You know, I just really get frustrated when I hear teacher bashing as evidence of reform. My sister is a former teacher, and I can tell you that they work so hard. They're putting money out of their own pockets in the classroom every single day. They're not doing it for the pay. And what is absolutely true is if we've got a bad teacher, we should be able to train them to get better, and if they can't get better, they should be able to get fired.
Quality really come down to the quality of the teacher and the quality of instruction in almost every country that we've ever studied. But the problem is that you can't just legislate good teachers. You have to find ways in which you can ensure that all kids have good teachers. That's why countries do it differently. They allow more local decision making or call for more choice of parents of schools or various accountability systems. They're all designed to ensure that you have incentives in the system to bring good teachers into the classroom.
There have been many countries that have made major changes in education. One of these countries is Russia.
There's so many tests, and sometimes they're oral, and then this panel of teachers ask you questions, and it's only you up there at the board, and it's very nerve-wracking. Their goal is to basically to ask me all these tricky questions and make me really scared, and even if you say something right, they'll go like, really? Just to make you just to see if you're confident, if you really, really know things. It was kind of like solving a code, because every day you just have to figure out something new to say and some new way you have to act. It's very important to the school to learn how to think outside the box, to just not kind of be a robot who can only think of one way to solve a problem.
Отлично. Сейчас проверим. Какой на тебе колпак? Какой на тебе колпак? Какой на тебе колпак? Синий. Так, а аплодисменты.
The children must be taught to think. If you think that 2 + 2 is always 4, then you are an idiot. 2 cats plus 2 sausages is 2 cats.
Better teacher quality is essential in a better education, but what makes a good teacher? Jeffrey Wright, a teacher in Louisville Male High School, uses fascinating experiments to teach children about the universe.
Test question alert. Test question alert. Nope in the big giant head.
I don't fall asleep in this class. I just don't. And it's weird because I can remember falling asleep in every other class.
I've never had a teacher like him at all.
Like calculus, every day, I pass out.
He's probably one of the teachers, probably when I'm 75 years old, that I'll still remember.
RTs, I fall asleep in there all the time.
He's the epitome of what I think a teacher should be.
Good, so Papa?
How do you know how far this is right now?
You know what? I think, that's what I was afraid of. Okay, go ahead and go get that tail for me, please.
Mr. Wright has a key to the city.
Yeah. I just tend to fall asleep a lot. It's a bad thing, but I do. But this class just keeps me interested, so there's no room for napping because you're learning.
Quit smoking!
Careful! Oh my gosh.
It's like this guy is just crazy. He's just exploding with fun.
I don't know, you see a huge fireball burn in my hand and go up to the ceiling, and all the matter, I'm not going to have any kids sleeping, and every one of those people are out there asking how. And as soon as you get the kid asking how or why, I can rope them in and get that intrigue going. Once again, it's a love of learning.
He says, I could care less about Newton's third law. I want to teach you something for you to take outside of school. That's what he's told us before, so. It makes me feel like he really cares about me, and I know he does. And he's a good man, and he will go out of his way for you.
Any last words? Do you love us?
Oh. More than you know. Hang on.
3, 2, 1.
Good job, man. Thank you.
Michelle Reed, a former chancellor of the Washington, D.C. public schools from 2007 to 2010, advocates a solution to America's crumbling education system.
There is an economist named Rick Hanushek, and he's basically done a whole lot of economic modeling. It basically has shown that if we as a nation were to take the lowest performing 6 to 10% of teachers in this country, move them out of education, and replace them just with an average teacher, not the best, just average teachers, we could literally propel ourselves from the bottom where we are to the top, where Finland is, just with that one action. Now, if you were to ever tell a CEO of a corporation, fire the bottom 6% of your staff, and you will move from 25 in the marketplace to number 1, they would do it in a heartbeat. There would be no question about it. But in education, that one move that could literally move us from the bottom to the top is just, we agonize over it. We talk about how it's so inhumane and cruel and all this sort of stuff. And that is one example, I think, but a very stark example of how we are just not willing to make the tough calls in education, which is what I would think is the most important sector to actually be really bold in.